Thank you for joining Conversations for College Success. I am back with Zaynab, and we're now going to talk about she has applied to graduate school and wanted to talk to her about how does she decide which graduate schools to apply to, as well as were there any criteria that those colleges had to meet, or were there, let's say, opportunities to get a PhD that was important to her. So I'm not really sure, but we'll find out what her choices were.
Okay, so when it came to applying to graduate schools, considering that I do want to attend medical school, I was looking for programs at universities that had a really good medical school. So the options were Yale University, Northwestern University, Case Western University, Case Western Reserve University, Johns Hopkins University, Emory University, Cornell University, and Duke University. I heard back positively from 5 of those,
Oh, very
of the
good.
7 options,
Uh-huh.
which is a good thing. I'm very grateful for it. The other thing I looked for aside from their medical school was the master's program that I was applying to and what opportunities they offered in terms of my own interests.
Mm-hmm.
So most of these were like masters of public health.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 of them were masters of science in population health sciences, which is essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Um, but my biggest thing was like prestige and the like opportunities for my own independent research
Oh, good.
and establishing like my own portfolio, knowing that I will get support from faculty,
Mm-hmm.
having good advisors and mentors. So I know these universities to have all of that. So that is why I applied to them.
Now, by chance, were any of your mentors influential in terms of the universities you applied to? And what I mean by that, was it a university they went to, or was it a university they recommended? And if not, it's okay, but I was just curious. Sometimes people try to influence people's decisions.
I didn't experience like a mentor telling me to go to X university, but like I said, it was more so about the programs that they offered and like the length of the programs. Was it accelerated? Was it 1 year? Was it 2 years? Like, and during those 2 years, what were the opportunities for me to engage in like my interests?
Mm-hmm.
Which, in terms of population health, it's health policy and management. So all these universities offer that. I know Emory's located in Atlanta, which is like head of the CDC is down there. So I knew that that was a viable option if I wanted to gain some experience related to it. Case Western, as we know, has a really nice population quantitative health sciences department. Johns Hopkins has a really good public health school, top public health school. I know Cornell as well, and then Duke University. They also have a really nice master's program down there. So for me, it was weighing the options between what I'm looking for at the end of the day.
Now, I'm going to ask you to educate me. With a master's in public health, are you done, or do you have to go one more school or even into a hospital to work for them?
So with the master's program, I plan on doing the master's degree and then like in between, maybe like a year after, using that time to prepare for
Okay.
medical school applications, and then applying to medical school.
Okay.
But I know at least I've spoken to some advisors that I trust,
Mm-hmm.
and they express that having a master's degree, especially in where you're like research focused, because in any master's degree that I've applied to, you learn how to conduct clinical trials
Oh, good.
and
Okay.
all the things that physicians end up doing anyway, especially if you want to go into academia, which is what I want to do as a physician. So applying to med school, I was told having a master's degree would make me more competitive applicant throughout medical school and even like landing in residency. I trust that the master's degree would benefit me long term and offer me a skill set that you wouldn't get in med school.
Well, it's interesting that you share that because you're absolutely right. I know of two other people who have gone on to medical school, and both of them got their master's before they got into medical school. So that's interesting that obviously you guys know that, and not everybody does, but it's impressive. And one of the students, I believe, is going to be graduating from Cleveland Clinic's medical school this year. So that was it's just it's so impressive, but it's also so you take pride in seeing people to continue to go to school because that's a long time to be in school to come out and then get into your field. And oftentimes people think 6 years is a lot. And so it's nothing in comparison to what people are doing. So I'll introduce you to them after the fact. So, all right. With that being the case, to apply to these programs, what was involved? I mean, I assume there's an application. Did you have to do any kind of, I knew probably recommendation letters as well, but did you have to write up why you wanted to do this or give some kind of information as it related to what you were looking to accomplish?
Yeah, so many of these schools, except maybe two of them, required that the SOFAS application, which is the School of Public Health application. And with the application, you answer questions that the universities provide you to answer, which are just very general, 200 character, like very simple questions. But those are opportunities for you to express like your true reason for applying. I think before you apply, you have to understand your like long-term vision and how it aligns with the program. Otherwise, they're not making a very strong case. It's like you're packaging yourself. It's just like you're being evaluated and you want to be have a compelling story, and that would include your like previous experiences, which is also why I was involved in so much because I knew I was going to apply to these programs and that they're going to be looking for something. They want to see if you'll survive the program, if you'll be productive in the program, and also are you going to like how well are you going to reflect their program? And yeah, like I said, you want to be able to explain how their education will help you achieve your goals. So for me, going into medicine, like I would like to sort of, the healthcare system infrastructure and like change that. I know it's a big statement, but like contributing to work in that part of healthcare.
Mhm.
And my master's program would definitely help in that. Other things I would say they ask for or they look for in applicants are like publications, if you have teaching experience, and if you like were involved in like any advocacy work, which I made it a point to do all those things because I know that they would look for that. Which also that I want to make a point about when you apply or if you're thinking of applying to graduate schools, understanding like what kind of graduate school you're applying to early on. Like, do you want to go for an MBA or a MS in a specific field or your MPH, understanding that they're going to be looking for certain experiences and you should probably get those as early as possible.
So now, with that being the case, did you know when you went to undergraduate school that you were going to go for a master's?
I didn't know that. I made the choice after my first year, like
Mhm.
sort of going into my second year. I realized my decision for that was I didn't think I would be a strong enough applicant for medical applications. I just wasn't confident. And so during my master's program, I plan on sort of getting some of those experiences in like creating an application for medical schools because I know it's a lot. It's very expensive to apply to medical schools. And I want to like take that time diligently and focus on those medical applications. And I think, like I said before, the master's degree will make me more competitive as a medical student, not necessarily going in, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like for what I want.
You're absolutely right. And part of why I asked that question, you just seem like you knew. But no, but that's fine. Because here again, when I got my master's, I didn't know when I was doing undergrad that I was going to get a master's. So those are not necessarily things that people know right off the bat. However, what I will always say is grades matter. Your grades are what allows you to move forward and allows other universities or organizations to consider you as a serious candidate. For those who are in high school, get the best grades you can. And then when you get to college, continue to get the best grades you can because those are the ways that you not only get considered, but there's also the potential that you can get scholarship money behind that. and scholarship money is huge as it relates to moving forward with your degree. So we definitely want to make sure that students are prepared for that. Now, just curious, and I don't know if this is true or not, so I want to ask the question. In undergrad, we always suggest that students do either a co op or an internship in their field, A, to make sure they're in the right field, but B, to get experience. In terms of your graduate program, is there anything like that there where they either would like you to or suggest that you work in that field, or is that a part of their program so that you continue to move yourself forward and progress?
Yes. So the program that I committed to, they highly recommend that we do an internship over the our first summer, and that should set us up for a position afterwards in terms of experience. But also, a lot of their students work as like a research assistant throughout the entire degree. So I guess it's kind of both. It's them expecting you to have the internship as well as working in the field throughout your education.
No, that makes tremendous sense because to me, it does a couple of things. One, it hones what specific direction you want to go in. And it's so important to have that experience before you get into something instead of after. And even in terms of undergraduate, there are times when people are not able to get their internship until towards their end of their degree. And that's so wrong. You need to get in your field as early as possible so you can see A, is that the right option or direction for you? And B, if there's things that you can navigate or adjust, you can do that early instead of later.
Yeah.
So,
I,
very good.
I want to comment on that.
Sure, please.
My After my first year, so summer second year, I did an internship, and it was like a biomedical research, and I did that to confirm whether or not I wanted to do biomedical research. And I'm happy I did it because I don't want to do biomedical research. And it was like a defining moment for me. I was able to like sort of move past that and like sort of open up other opportunities for myself instead of being so headstrong on one particular path, which I think saved me a lot of time. Because at first I thought I wanted to do like, yeah, I'm interested in medicine, but maybe not that kind. So it was really good for me, I think, sort of to test where I want to go. And then after that point, like after that summer, that's when I reached out to some of the faculty and was like, I want to do like some of your office research, which we call dry lab research, where you're like looking at data and analyzing it, but it has to do with health. So the projects I worked on were urology, women's health. So it has, it's medicine, but it's not cellular biology.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that because oftentimes people think, oh, it's too early. It's like it's never too early to define what you're interested in, what you want to pursue. The earlier you understand that, the earlier you decide that, the better off you are. In some previous podcasts, I had talked about trying to figure out within your first year, but definitely by your second year, what your major is. The longer it takes you to determine your major, the longer you're going to be in school, which also means the more expensive it's going to be for you to be in school. So, thank you so much for adding that point in there. And I don't know, are there any other final comments as it relates to going to graduate school, applying to graduate school that you would like to share with our audience?
So when it comes to applying to graduate schools, understand the financial package that they're offering you. I know one of these programs, they offered the first year is like full tuition, but like your second year is the 75% off of the classes that you would be taking, which the second year is you working full time, but you do have the option to take courses to like focus, to have a concentration versus a program where it's 2 years, but they offer you like 50K of tuition, which I think goes back to what the program itself offers and what you feel like you are getting. Are you benefiting from that or are you not? I don't think I would benefit necessarily from, I don't think you should make it all about how much you're getting in terms of financial aid or scholarships. I think you should make it about the experience that you're taking away and how that's going to help your future career.
Very good advice. Appreciate that. In what students should also think about, because oftentimes people don't think about this until it's too late, and that is not only how much your undergraduate degree costs you, how much will your graduate degree cost you? And whether you do them one right after the other or you take a break to accumulate some finances yourself before you move forward, all of those things are good suggestions so that when you graduate, you're not feeling like you're just surrounded in debt. Because when you come out, you want to move forward, you want to make sure that you're going to enjoy your career and what you're about to get into. And if you don't, that's going to be a huge mistake. You don't want to spend 2 sets of times in college and then come out and decide that you don't wanna do what you just spent time
Yeah,
going after.
yeah, I agree. And another sort of comment I have is I did for a split second consider doing a PhD. I was speaking to my academic advisor about how I wanted to be like a research physician scientist. And they're like, oh, you should do your PhD. But this goes back to like clarifying like your career goals and your expectations with your advisors. I wasn't clear at the time, like what field I want to go into. So he was like, oh, a PhD would be great for like research. And back to your point about them being so busy and having a ton of students, like you really do need to take the time to clarify your goals and what you want to accomplish and present that to them so that they can give their best advice. So after I sort of went back and reconsidered more define my career goals and aspirations, I went back and I was like, I reminded him that he suggested I do a PhD, and they're like, "Well, considering what you're saying now, especially if you want to go to med school, like you should definitely just kind of go for the master's." And there are some medical schools that they combine the master's with the MD, but he said, I don't need a PhD to do what I told him I wanted to do." So he saved me 5 years, and yeah, I think you should be clear about, especially with your advisors who are like giving you advice that are going to cost you financially. Definitely just be clear about what you want and like don't feel bad about changing your ideas.
How were you able to do that though? And what I mean by that was focus enough to know this is the area of medicine that I wanna go into. Because I would think there are so many different options, like, how do you decide?
Yeah. So I guess master's versus PhD. We know a PhD takes a long time. It's 5 years, minimum maybe three if you're fortunate. Those are typically paid for. And you could also do it with an MD for free, like that's tuition free, but those programs are incredibly competitive. And then the master's degree is shorter, it kind of gets straight to the point. You can focus on like whatever concentrate that you're interested in. But for me, like I came back to him the start of my senior year
Mhm.
before applications for graduate programs were due, including
Oh,
masters
good.
and PhDs.
Okay.
And I just wanted to like confirm before I put in those applications because at that point I had already had enough experience to be certain about which direction I wanted to go. So having done the work and like did enough searching and exploring, I was able to be more specific about what I wanted, and therefore he was able to give me the best advice.
Well, that becomes a very critical thing for students to be aware of, and that is A, make sure you get the experience you need in the field or direction you would like to go into. Because oftentimes I have seen people say, I want to do XYZ. They've never done it before. Then they get in and go, okay, I don't want to do XYZ. And that is so important to realize ahead of time. Because I've only had maybe one or two students who graduated with a degree, but that really wasn't what they wanted to do. But if you're too far down the line, go ahead and graduate. And then for a master's, you can specialize in whatever you prefer to do at that point. So those are serious considerations. And I want to make sure that our listeners are aware of that. Think through what you want to do, make sure you get experience in what you want to do. And that way you will be making the best decision you can. And you'll be as successful as Zaynab in deciding what she wants to do, which I think is phenomenal and fabulous. I'd like to thank my listeners for learning more about decisions as it relates to graduate school, because I think that is important information to know. And I'm going to challenge my listeners as well to, if you're looking to get into graduate school, write down what you think is important and then share that. And then I can maybe share it on air, or we can have a separate dialogue, send that information to conversations for college success at hotmail.com. Again, conversations for college success at hotmail.com. Look forward to hearing from you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.